Warning. Pregnant women, the elderly, and children under 16 should avoid prolonged exposure to Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler may suddenly accelerate to dangerous speeds. Dirt Diggler has high gluten content and is not kosher, halal, or vegan safe. Do not ingest Dirt Diggler, as Dirt Diggler is for external use only. Discontinue listening to Dirt Diggler if any of the following occurs: itching, vertigo, dizziness, discoloration of urine, tingling in extremities, loss of balance or coordination, slurred speech, temporary blindness, profuse sweating, heart palpitations, increased use of profanity. If listening to Dirt Diggler gives you an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, you're welcome. Listening to Dirt Diggler may lead to unplanned pregnancies. If Dirt Diggler begins to smoke, get away immediately. Seek shelter and cover head. Dirt Diggler may stick to certain types of skin. When not in use, Dirt Diggler should be returned to a special container and kept under refrigeration. The ingredients of Dirt Diggler include, but are not limited to, a glowing substance which fell to the earth, presumably from outer space, and bad memories. Do not taunt Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler does not come with a lifetime guarantee. Dirt Diggler. Enjoy the show.
Extra heat.
Oh, what is going on? It is the Dirt Diggler, the dirtiest Diggler to ever Diggler for Dirt Good Diggler.
That's right, bitch.
Coming back at you for
Right, bitch.
Double D 3S Dirt Diggler's Shitty Sports Show. So, I had a guest last week, G, right? I had a guest. It was good. Everyone liked it. I liked it. G's not available today. All you got is me. My apologies. But next week, we're going to try to get G in the studio. Maybe give D from down south a call. Maybe even, bring somebody else into the studio. Either way, the energy in the studio is always nice. It's always nice to have a guest. It's always nice. So today, we're going to go over a little bit more about last week's show, the traditional happenings throughout the week. We're going to go over the NFC East standings, of course. We're also going to go over why the AFC South needs to be banished into the negative zone. We're going to do the traditional what the fuck Buffalo and what the fuck Cleveland pieces. My uneducated predictions for the week. My beer of the week, and my hot take of the week. So, we got a normal schedule lined up. Nothing too extravagant, nothing too special. But look, last week's show, man, look, I really enjoyed it. I did. I enjoyed sitting there and having a conversation with somebody else regarding something I hold near and dear, like football. But man, that was a 2.5 hour show. Like, we didn't even know it. We were just sitting here recording, chopping it up, having a conversation. Next thing we know, we have a 2.5 hours worth of content. And let me tell you, my computer did not like that. Man, I tell you, editing all that stuff down took so much more time because I had an external hard drive and it was slow, and it was just all this technology converging on this one premise that the gear I was using was trash. So I've upgraded, so to speak, from an external hard drive to a USB stick. Right? Should be faster. We'll see, though. We'll see. So in the interim, right? So, I mentioned earlier that I had bronchitis and I had to take some time off, right? So I'm technically still on the mend, right? I still cough occasionally, but up until now, like, the cough has been so violent that I've actually injured myself. Like, I've got pulled or strained muscles in my ribs, and let me tell you, if you've never had a core muscle injury, man, this is some of the most painful stuff, man, because you don't realize how much you involve your core in everything. I mean, you really. No matter what you think you're doing, coughing, sneezing, farting, walking, standing, sitting, you're engaging your back, your obliques, your abs. You're engaging core muscles, including those little muscles along your ribs you don't think about. So when they get hurt, man, you feel like you're going to die. So that's where I've been at, man. I've been dealing with that, and I tell you, I don't wish it upon nobody. I mean, I've been hitting the ribs with helmets, and just playing a game. I've been elbowed. I took some shots to the ribs, man, but really, it's pretty painful. So moving into the week, right? Oh, you know what? I remember years ago when Sammy Sosa was a thing, right? Because this ties into the injury. When Sammy Sosa was a thing, right? Him and Mark McGwire, I guess, were doing their steroid-fueled contest to see who can hit the most home runs, right? And Sammy had sneezed and hurt his back, like he pulled the muscle in his back. And I thought, how the hell can you sneeze and pull a muscle in your back? You got to be juicing, right? So here I am, many, many years later, coughing myself into an injury. So to Mr. Sosa, no matter where you are, I apologize for doubting the validity of your injury. Because let me tell you, you can indeed hurt your freaking self coughing or sneezing. So, hey, be careful. Sneeze safely, ladies and gentlemen. Sneeze safely. All right, so moving on to the week 7 happenings, right? So once again, my uneducated predictions. I guess I'm leveling out now, right? I guess I'm leveling out because I sat there. I was like 8-6 or something last week, week before, and I was 8-5-1 this time around, right? So there was a tie. There was a tie because football sucks right now. There's no reason we should have two teams have a tie in this day and age, with the overtime rules being what they are. But no shit, we had a tie. So, well, we'll talk about set name tie a little bit later into the show. But just know that for some reason there's now a tie on my record where there wasn't before. So, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm still sliding, but now my overall record is 46-27-1. So, I'm still good. I'm still good. You know, I'm still shooting a pretty good percentage here. You know, I don't know. Is anything above 500 considered good? I mean, should I look at this like a divisional race in the AFC South? If I'm hitting 500, I've got a chance to win it. I mean, how should I look at this, right? Anyway, so on to the games, because that's why you all came, is for the games. So the Giants played the Rams in London and won that game, right? So along with Thursday Night Football, they don't necessarily send the NFL's best and brightest to London. We should, right? Because it looks like the NFL is really trying to establish a market there, right? This is the country of the soccer hooligan. These guys are prime for some NFL action here. They love violence. I mean, if you've read a history book, you know the British, the English, the UK loves their violence. And so football seems like a sport they would like. And here we are sending, shit teams over there. Like, all right, so if you really want to get teams, if you really want to make the NFL seem interesting to a foreign country like the UK, you don't send, like, the Rams and the Giants. You send Pittsburgh and the Patriots. You send, the Bengals and shit, the Seahawks. You send good teams there on a more regular basis. You don't send terrible teams. Hell, you send the Eagles and Cowboys right now because they're doing good. Like, you don't send teams that didn't make the playoffs. Don't do that. You're not doing your product any favors by sending these shitty teams over there. Like, if I'm going to send an ambassador to somewhere to speak on behalf of my entire people, I'm not going to go dredge up some shit stain out of the ditch and go, hey, you're speaking for all of Dirty Land. Go forth and do great things, because chances are he's going to fuck it up. So quit sending shitty teams to London to represent the NFL unless you want them to fuck it up. I mean, eventually these guys are going to start watching football for real, and they're going to understand that we're sending them shitty teams. And they're going to feel a little insulted by that. How dare you make us convert our soccer pitch into this American football field for us to watch this shit? And that's how they're going to feel. And then they're going to get mad and dump our Budweiser in the fucking English Channel or some shit. It's going to be a big old war, and it's going to be great, actually. I'm looking forward to it. Either way, moving on. The Saints. I had the Saints beating the Chiefs, right? And the thing is, the Chiefs, they won, and I can't figure out this team. The Chiefs have all the markings of being a great team, and then they lose, but then they win. And it's so I'd say, like, if I had to look back at their record so far at the halfway point and really just like give them a term, I'd say they were aggressively mediocre, right? I mean, I don't know, can an Alex Smith led team be great, or can they only be aggressively mediocre? He's the most aggressively mediocre quarterback I can think of. For all the things I hear about Alex Smith, he's so smart, he's sneaky athletic, all these things. He is one of the most mediocre quarterbacks in the league. He's not outright terrible. He's not horrible. He's not, the Sanchez. And he's by no means great, right? He's not. You're not going to mention him in the same conversation as your Mannings and your Bradys and your Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to mention him in that conversation. He's like super duper mediocre. Doesn't take a lot of deep shots. Throws a fairly accurate mid to short range, football. It's just weird. The Chiefs are a weird team. To have as much talent on both sides of the ball as they do, and to have Andy Reid, who somehow discovered the run, coaching that team, they're way, way too mediocre. But I guess they like that down in KC. I mean, it's working for them, I guess. So, the Colts beat the Titans. And if you watch that game, I apologize. Listen, you should avoid AFC South games like the plague, especially AFC South games that involve another AFC South team, right? So you have like the interdivisional, interconference games, right? Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and watch those if your team is playing. But like if unless you're a fan of an AFC South team, try to avoid games that involve those teams because they're terrible teams, right? So the Colts and the Titans played, and they're both AFC South franchises, and they both suck, and the game was terrible, but the Colts won. The Colts won that horrible game in that shitty division, and just if you haven't been paying attention, there's only one team above 500 in the AFC South. So we're looking at one of those divisions to where the shiniest turd wins for real. Like whoever's winning that division is just wasting a playoff spot at this point unless somebody really turns it around. Either way, so oh my God, the Eagles. Eagles beat the Vikings in Philly, and G called it. G was like, "Oh, I got the Eagles, turn it around. They're gonna win that game." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't see the Eagles doing it because the Vikings have been a juggernaut thus far. Their defense has been killing folks, and I'm looking at the offensive line, and Vitae is not holding up. He got his lunch money taken by Kerrigan and DC, and you know what? The Eagles came out there and they got in Sam Bradford's ass. I want to say they sacked him 6 times. He put the ball on the turf 4 times. Eagles recovered 2 of those. Bradford threw a pick in the end zone. I mean, it was like 6 turnovers in the first quarter or something like that between the 2 teams. But the bottom line is they were still able to get to Bradford. They were able to hit Bradford. They knew Bradford wasn't athletic. They knew that he was, he had backup tackles in there. The edge rushers got in his ass. And Jim Schwartz blitzed. Jim Schwartz's whole thing is we're going to get pressure front 4, we're going to drop 7 back into coverage, and that's going to be how we run our defense. But he didn't do that. He blitzed Sam Bradford. Now, some of that goes to the fact that Bradford was on that team until, 8 days before the opening kickoff of the season. So, these guys they understood his tendencies. They knew what he didn't like. So it's kind of unfair. If Bradford doesn't play for the Eagles, maybe that game doesn't go the way it did. Maybe they don't have such an intimate understanding of his tendencies. It's not often that you have a quarterback on your team for that amount of time and you get to know his intricacies in practice and then send him away and immediately play him. But that's what happened. So kudos to my team for winning. Shame on me for betting against them, so to speak. Shame on me. We're gonna see. Because we got a big game coming up right now against the Cow Turds. But we'll talk about it, man. We'll get to that a little bit, man. We'll get to that a little bit. But so the Bengals beat the Browns because that's what I called. Like the Bengals should beat the Browns. The Browns are the only winless team in the NFL.
What we thought they were.
Coincidentally, the Indians are leading the World Series 2-1,
But they are.
and the
We
Cavs
thought they were.
are the reigning NBA champions. So there you go, Cleveland. Good job on that. The Lions and the Pigskins played a game, right? So the Lions and Pigskins game was happening at the exact same time as the Eagles Vikings game. And I was actually sitting adjacent to some Pigskin fans, and they're cool people, right? I'm not gonna lie. Most of the Pigskin fans I run into in the office, no matter what office I'm in, are fucking shitheads. Like I absolutely fucking talking to them is laborious, and I hate doing it. However, the Green Turtle, I have a Green Turtle that's not too far away. I go there, and the atmosphere is pretty damn chill. Like you have all kinds of teams and their fans being represented there, and most of the folks are really chill, right? Buffalo Wild Wings, not so much. I'm a fan of Green Turtle. Either way, we're at Green Turtle. We're watching the Detroit Washington game, the Lions and the Pigskins, and I mean it was good, right? So Kirk Cousins leads the Skins down, scores a touchdown, runs it in from 20 yards away, and it's like a minute left. And I was like, oh man, there's still a minute on the clock. This game is not over. It was great because there were some Skins fans that were like, yeah, this shit is done. They're fucking slamming beers and high-fiving and chest bump and do all the dumb shit. But the guys that were next to me were like, this isn't over. Like, hold on, we still got to win this game. And sure shit, Stafford marched that team right down the field, put it in Bolden's hands. Bolden scores the go-ahead touchdown. Game over. All right, look, there was like 20 seconds left. That freaking bar emptied of all Skins fans. It was absolutely glorious to see that happen. It was so nice, right? And these are nice people, right? And I don't personally hate them, but to see how they reacted to that collapse, oh my God, it was so. The Eagles were on the receiving end of so many of those last year. It was just nice. And a couple of them were at the hands of the Skins. It was nice to see it happen to somebody else in the division. It was nice because for two reasons. One, divisional rival takes a loss. It's always nice. Two, we won. So that means we go up, they go down. Hey, the universe is starting to right itself at this point. So, man, I swear, it was. I was there with my daughter. It was great. I was glad I got to share that moment with her. She got to see despair set in real time. I mean, it was just a great educational experience, and I hope to be able to show her again what it looks like to see a divisional rival, collapse on itself. Oh man, it's great. So the Raiders, they played the Jags. The Jags are a terrible team, and the Raiders are not. So the Jags lost. The Jags also, like literally an hour ago, I guess, just fired their offensive coordinator. So to that, I say, hey man, why not? I work for the Bills. I mean, the Bills, their defense is getting them 35 points a game. Instead of firing old Rob Ryan, you fire the OC. All of a sudden, the Bills start winning games. Shit, maybe you're onto something. So the Jags fire their OC. Maybe they'll win some games. I don't know. A lot of talent in that team. They're just not getting it done. So we shall see. The Dolphins beat the Bills. Now, I didn't predict the Dolphins beating the Bills, but I sure as hell was hoping for it, right? Because there's things that I can see happening, and there's things that I hope for, right? And judging by how the Bills behaved when they played the Niners, I was like, yo, fuck that team. Fuck their stars. Fuck their fan base. Fuck their city. Fuck their stadium. And all the cars in the parking lot. Fuck them all, right? That's how I felt. It was like, yo, that shit was uncalled for. So, but I didn't see them having what it took to lose. I didn't see them losing to the Dolphins, but the Dolphins beat them. The Dolphins beat them fair and square, so to speak, and I'll take it. I'll take that. And Shady McCoy's hurt, so that game could possibly impact their season for a while because Shady was killing it. And of course he's like Citizen of the Year, right? If you ever pay attention to Shady, he's an upstanding American. But I'll tell you, he's hurt, and Sammy Watkins is hurt, and pretty soon it's just gonna be Tyrod Taylor and 10 scrubs out there, and their season's gonna collapse because they're the AFC East, and unless you're the Patriots in the AFC East, you're pretty much gonna collapse anyway. So we'll see. There's no wild card spot coming out of the AFC East. I'm calling it. Fuck it. So the Ravens are not a good team. I don't care what G says. The Ravens are not a good team, right? The day after we did the podcast, they promptly dropped their fourth straight. And you can say, they missed a pass interference call. Of course the refs missed the pass interference call. They're the refs. That's what they've been doing all season. Why would you expect something different for your team? They're not going to miss. They're not going to call it. So the Ravens have lost 4 straight. They won 3 straight, 3 dubious games they won. I said they weren't good. Now they're on a 4-game slide. I'm standing by my statement of them not being good. They're just not a good team. Their defense isn't that great. I don't care what the stats say. The wins don't reflect it. The wins don't reflect the team. The team either wins or loses. I don't care what your defensive stats look like because right now you're 3-4 on the wrong side of 500, and you still got to chase. You got to chase a crippled, a hobbled Steelers team, and I don't see you being able to do it. The Browns are non-factor in the AFC North. So really all you got to worry about is Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Cincinnati is kind of mediocre right now, but Big Ben is out, and this is the time to make moves, and you're not doing it. So, whatever, man. Whatever. Get your shit together, Baltimore. Get your shit together. The Buccaneers played and beat the 49ers. I don't care. If you care, please send me an email stating that you care, and I will gladly recap this game. If not, we're going to move on. The Chargers upset the Falcons. Oh, my God. Look, the Falcons have been on fire, and the Chargers, who were choking, the Chargers made an art of choking in extravagant ways. Like, their early season collapses were noteworthy. Like, they were really being framed as the most chokingest team in the NFL. And I'm like, yeah, they're choking pretty hard. But, I mean, for them to beat the Broncos and then come out and beat a team like the Falcons, right? That's unexpected. So that's interesting. Also, Joey Bosa's the realness. He made himself a part of Matt Ryan's life in ways that another man shouldn't. But he was up his ass. He was all over him. He made him very uncomfortable. I don't understand why San Diego didn't want to pay this dude. Didn't want to deal with that offset language. They could have won those earlier games if they'd had Bosa on the field, because he didn't have a camp, none of that. He came out a few weeks later after signing the contract, and he's making an impact. Look, the Chargers may have screwed themselves this season by getting into a staring match with this dude, because he's the truth, and they should be lucky to have been in position to draft him, because I don't think they deserve him because of how they treated him on the way in. Either way, so the Steelers did not have enough to beat the Patriots, right? Big Ben is a huge piece of that team. He's a huge, I mean, you have a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to be a big, but you know, what folks understand is he runs that offense when he's out there. Like the OC just kind of is there. Ben Roethlisberger calls the plays. You know, he understands how the game is played. He's at that point in his life where he's, you know, like a Peyton Manning, where the offense is his. So he calls the plays. So when you lose someone that important, that linchpin to your offense, there's gonna be some loss there. There's gonna be a huge drop off between him and the next guy. But when you have a really strong team defensively, as you know, Pittsburgh in the past has had some really strong defenses. If you have one of those, then it lessens the blow. But they don't have one of those. Their defense isn't dominant enough to keep, you know, other teams out of the end zone, which forces the offense to produce more. And they needed Roethlisberger to produce that extra offense. They needed him, and he's not there. He won't be there for a few weeks, and that's why I'm saying they're going to lose their games until he comes back, because he's just too big a piece. The defense isn't good enough to keep him in games, and until the defense somehow shows up, I mean, despite the outstanding play of folks like Shazier, they're losing. Their defense isn't that great, so Pittsburgh's going to have to, you know, figure something out. If they're going to dominate the AFC North, which is theirs for the taking, they're going to have to figure something out, because if they can't, then you got a team like Cincy who probably doesn't deserve it. He's going to take that division, and we don't want to see Cincy do shit. So, whatever. The Seahawks and Cardinals can eat a bag of ass. How the fuck do you have a 6-6 tie in prime time? I mean, they were missing field goals left and right. Randy Moss went out there and goddamn loafers in his suit and kicked a 28-yarder. Like, how hard is this? Like, I'm not... Randy Moss... Well, yes, Randy Moss is one of the greatest receivers, if not the greatest receiver ever to play, but he's not a kicker. These are kickers. Like, your job is to kick the ball. Your job is to do... You're a specialist. You're a kicker. So, you're missing game-winning field goals. Like, nothing sums up this NFL season like this 6-6 tie between the Seahawks and the goddamn Cardinals. These are teams that have offensive weapons. These are good defensive teams. One of them should have scored far in excess of 6 points, yet neither did. This game sums up the 2016 NFL season like nothing else can. Also, the Texans had another primetime slot where they played the Broncos and lost terribly. Brock Osweiler is terrible. He is hot garbage. The Texans are hot garbage. The AFC South is hot garbage. Please stop putting teams like the Texans in primetime slots. I don't care who they're playing. Do not put these teams in primetime slots. You're wasting good primetime slots. You know, so please stop wasting primetime slots. NFL, please take note. You're wasting your primetime slots. If I was an advertiser, I'd be pissed. I'd be super pissed. I'd want some goddamn money back. I'm sure they're doing it. The ratings are down. They can justifiably do it. I don't know. But so on to the NFC East standings, right, after the Week 7 action. All right, you had the Cowboys still sit on top of the division. They had a bye. Right, so they didn't play nobodies, therefore they couldn't have lost, and their record is still better. So they're still atop the division. They're one game ahead of the Eagles, who's one game ahead of the Pigskins and the Giants. And since the Pigskins have a better divisional record, they sit on top of the Giants. Now, here's the thing: we're all the teams are above 500. We're not talking about like you have a team at 500 and then you have 3 teams above. No, all 4 teams are right now above 500, which is unexpected, right? The NFC East has been underperforming as of late, but maybe the addition of your Dak Prescott, your Carson Wentz, your Ezekiel Elliott, maybe these rookies coming out this year have brought some pretty good talent and made the NFC East a bit more competitive outside of the division, right? Because we could sit here and beat each other up all year long. That's what we do anyway. It's the games where you play those teams like the Patriots and the Broncos and the Steelers and the Vikings. You know, those are the games you got to win to really say we're a dominant division. And in the NFC East teams were losing those games, but now they're winning those games. Hell, the Eagles knocked off the top-notch Steelers and followed that up by knocking off the top-notch Vikings. But in between, they lose to the goddamn Lions and the shit-stained Pigskins. So, I mean, yeah, there's still some consistency issues. But when you have young talent, that's what happens. I mean, right now, the old man of the bunch is Eli Manning. He's the old man of the bunch right now. You got two rookies. You got two rookies in Dak and Carson playing, and you got the old man Eli. It's just very interesting. And Cousins isn't old. He's only on his fourth year. So you got three young quarterbacks and a solid old guy. I mean, maybe this is it. I don't know. Maybe the Giants luck out in the draft and find themselves the future as well. I mean, the NFC East could be the NFC Beast, and I'm looking forward to it because it was nice to watch the NFC Beast play football. I mean, those games were glorious, and I'm hoping we're going back into that era. I really do. We'll see, though. I mean, anyone can have an injury or a late season collapse. This is football. We've seen some things happen. So, speaking of dominant divisions, let's talk about the opposite of that, which would be the AFC South, who suck, right? So I don't understand how you could have Blake Bortles and Andrew Luck in the same division and not really have a good team. I don't understand how the Texans could pay the amount of money they're giving Bork Osweiler and him not produce. Was the Texans' whole team predicated on the existence of J.J. Watt? Was it? Because they're a horrible team. You have one of the best receivers in DeAndre Hopkins, and there's no one to throw him the ball. He finds himself flirting with the Larry Fitzgerald syndrome now. Larry had scrubs throwing him the ball for the majority of his career. He had a couple years where you have a Kurt Warner, which is always nice, and a couple years where he had a semi-competent Carson Palmer, but the majority of his career, he had John Skelton. John Skelton? John Skelton. John Skelton. Who the fuck's John Skelton? Exactly. No one cares. John Skelton's a footnote in the ass crack of the NFL. Whatever. So you have, someone like Larry Fitzgerald, who's a Hall of Famer, with scrub throwing him the ball. DeAndre Hopkins is flirting with that, and it's not his fault. He's one of the top pass catchers in the NFL. Dude's fast, got great hands, very agile. He's a Pro Bowl receiver, right? And they pay all this money to this guy, so maybe Elway knew. Maybe Elway knew that Osweiler was a turd sandwich, and that's why he let him walk. I was sitting here thinking that the Texans had pulled a coup, but they hadn't pulled a coup, man. They lost. They lost because they have Osweiler. Osweiler is shaping up to be less of a quarterback than Mark Sanchez. Can we get Mark Sanchez into Houston and have him start over Bork Osweiler? Because that'd be great. Because maybe we can see some noteworthy football. Because right now, all I'm seeing is hot garbage out of that division. And the Jaguars, their roster is freaking stacked with poached talent and high draft picks. I mean, they have their loaded roster, and they can't win games. You got Bortles go out there and forget his basic fundamentals constantly, and this is the dude who wants to throw the ball 50 times a game. Like, maybe you need to bench Bortles. Maybe you need a better quarterback coach. They bring, Gus Bradley in there, the quarterback whisperer, and he can't quite figure out how to get Blake Bortles to be accurate for more than 3 passes in a row. And then you have the neckbeard, up there in Indy, and they want to put 5 wet paper bags out there to block for him and expect him to be productive and not get his freaking liver lacerated, but that's not going to happen. I don't understand these teams. I don't understand why they could do the things they do. They're all horrible teams. They need to fix this. It's unacceptable, right? It's just unacceptable. AFC South, they maybe we should break off that division and send them to play Division 3 ball, because right now they are not competitive on the NFL level. They are not. They're wasting airtime. They're wasting a lot of. They're just really bad teams. Moving on though. Moving on. What the fuck, Buffalo? Right? Have you been paying attention to the weird relationship that Rex Ryan thinks he has with Bill Belichick? Because I have, and I'm not gonna lie, as someone who didn't really have a dog in the fight years ago, it was kind of entertaining to hear Rex talk shit and say how he's gonna beat Bill Belichick. But what it's become is pretty pathetic now, because if he ever beats Belichick, he treats it like he won the goddamn Super Bowl. But I mean, we're going on 10 years now, man. This is starting to get scary. Is the level of fixation and dysfunction. I mean, I don't think I've seen one grown man be so fixated on another grown man on national TV ever. I don't think I've ever seen this. And this is supposed to be, one of the top defensive minds in the NFL, and he's got this thing for another. If I was Bill Belichick, I would have a restraining order out on this guy. If I was Bill Belichick, keep in mind, if you don't know me, I absolutely hate the Patriots. I hate the Patriots, but I respect Belichick's, coaching ability. I hate the Patriots. Everything about them. But, I mean, at this point, you kind of got to feel bad for Rex because there's something wrong with that guy. There's got to be something wrong with Rex for him to be this fixated on Belichick. Yeah, it's kind of icky. It's kind of icky. But we'll see. We'll see. So, Cleveland. Cleveland's 0-7. Right, so this is the what the fuck Cleveland part, right? What the fuck Cleveland, because there's always a what the fuck Cleveland. And until there isn't a what the fuck Cleveland, there'll be a piece called what the fuck Cleveland. So right now, the Browns are 0-7, right? And I'm not gonna lie, they're the best 0-7 team in the NFL. They really are. They're that team that's just about to turn a corner and win some games. The problem is that may not happen until next year, right? I'm looking at their schedule. You got Jets, Cowboys, Ravens, Steelers, Giants, Bengals, Bills, Chargers, Steelers. You're probably not going to win any of those. Like, between the sheer attrition at quarterback, and they've had some good quarterbacks come through, but just the sheer attrition and the bad luck and all the other things for this season, they may come out of this winless, which would be epic. However, since it's the Browns, they wouldn't even have the distinction of being the first winless team because Detroit beat them to it. So they would just be another winless teams, which that's the most Browns thing to happen. That's the Brownsiest thing that can happen is for them to go winless, but be the second team to do it. I mean, they can't even get failure right over there in Cleveland as far as the Browns are concerned. You have a reigning champion, and then you have a team who's playing for the championships, and then you have the Browns. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody please help me. Help me out with this. I can't wrap my mind around this. But all right, so my uneducated predictions for Week 8. Moving into that, right? So the Pigskins play the Bengals. I want to say they're playing in D.C., and I got the Pigskins losing that 24-30. I think the Bengals are going to want this win. I think the Bengals are going to want that win a bit more. They know that the Steelers are wounded. They know they're going to come out and win. A.J. Green, I think he trumps your Josh Norman, who may or may not play. Josh Norman he's concussed. He got a concussion last week against the Lions, so he may not even be on the field, which leaves Breeland as your top cornerback, and Breeland has been getting his lunch money taken all season long too. So I don't know if they're going to win this game. Now I'll tell you what, that Trent Williams guy, who's also pretty good, he also went down. He also went down last week. See, I failed to mention that, but he went down last week. So you're losing 2 Pro Bowlers from your freaking roster. This could be it. Like, if they can't figure out the Bengals, this could be the death knell for the Pigskin season, because Trent Williams is like Jason Peters 5 years ago. He's a dominant left tackle. You lose a player like him, and you immediately feel the impact because you don't have anyone on the roster that is anywhere near his talent, because if you did, he'd be starting somewhere else, right? That's like losing Lane Johnson for the Eagles. Lane Johnson was drafted to replace Jason Peters, so you knew you had to pick a stud, right? But even then, losing Lane Johnson from the right side for a suspension and putting Vitae in there was an immediate drop-off that was felt, and it impacted games. I don't know if the Skins are going to overcome the loss of both Trent Williams and Josh Norman. I don't know. They've already lost Stuart Cravens. They've already lost Reed, who needs to retire because he's had multiple concussions. So despite the offensive gumption of their head coach, they may have simply lost too many pieces to truly compete at this point. At this point in the season, they may. We'll see how it all, how it all happens and who comes back from at what point in time. But the NFC East is competitive, and I'm not sure that the Skins are going to be able to put it all together, despite the strong receiving core. Every year free agency holds new surprises, so we'll see. And has anyone heard from Josh Dotson? He's supposed to be this hotshot rookie, right? I haven't seen him. Is he still hurt? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know, Skins fans. Tell me about your boy. So moving on, the Chiefs are playing the Colts, and by virtue of being AFC South, I have the Colts losing to the Chiefs, right? 27-14 in favor of the Chiefs, just because the Colts are AFC South. The Raiders play the Buccaneers. Now, here's the thing, right? It's hard to really capture the essence of either one of these teams, right? Because they're both young quarterbacks, young teams, hot shot receiver. Oh, but the Bucks don't have a hot shot receiver no more because their dude went down. So right now, the Raiders have the edge with Amari Cooper. They also still have Khalil Mack. And Winston is not athletic. Uncle Rico can't run to save his damn life. So they need to protect him. They need to protect him. Also, I want to say the running back for the Bucks is hurt as well. I don't know, man. It could go either way. I just think Tampa's lost too many pieces to compete with this young upstart Raiders team. And really, if the Raiders are in the AFC South, they run away with this division. But they're not. They got to compete with the likes of the resurgent Chargers and the damn world champion Broncos. So, and the Chiefs. The AFC West is not so bad. It's not so bad. They're in a good division, and they're growing. So I have the Raiders winning. The Seahawks play the Saints. Russell Wilson's healing. Seahawks 24, Saints 14. The Saints are just too much of an incomplete team. Drew Brees is old. I don't know how much more he's got left anyway. He can still make some things happen, but I don't think he can make it happen with the that secondary out there. I don't think he can make it happen with those pass rushers after him. I don't see it. I don't think the Saints have enough on offense to make it happen, but maybe they do. I don't know. But I still have the Seahawks winning 24-14. So the Lions play the Texans. Once again, the Texans are a horrible team. I have the Lions smoking them 35-6. And I see that 6 coming off of maybe some turnovers in the red zone that end up as field goals. Or, turnovers deep in their own territory that end up as field goals. But I have no faith in any AFC South teams right now to win any games. The Jets play the Browns. The Jets have them winning by 4, 24-20. The Browns aren't a bad. They're winless, and yes, they're a bad team because they're winless. But they're in these games. They're there. I mean, they're a doormat, but they're not. You got to work to beat them, but you still beat them. It's weird. It's it's very difficult to really sum up in words what it looks like when a team is playing the Browns. They're competitive, just not enough. They're just not enough. So the Pats play the Bills. I have the Pats beating the Bills by 10, 27-17. Like I said, Rex Ryan's weird, discomforting man crush on Belichick. He blanked him out last time they played before Brady came back. I doubt that happens again. I'm pretty sure Tom Brady and them are going to shred the Bills. And that's going to be what happens. The Cards play the Panthers. The Panthers have won one game this season. In fact, the joke was they lost during their bye week. And it possibly could have happened. I didn't see any arrests, though, so that's nice. But I don't see the Panthers winning. I see them scoring points, see them trying, but I don't see them winning. I got the Cardinals 28-20 over the Panthers. The Packers and the Falcons. I have the Falcons winning 35-24. I don't think the Packers defense is good enough to stop Julio Jones, who's probably going to be coming out there to prove some shit after being cheated last week. We have the Chargers versus the Broncos. Now, a couple weeks ago, the Chargers beat the Broncos, and no one saw that coming, right? Reigning Super Bowl champions, Von Miller, in a Super Bowl MVP, still playing at a high level. You lose DeMarcus Ware, who got robbed, by the way. Somebody broke into his house and stole his ring, and that's a shame, right? That's a damn shame because DeMarcus Ware seems like a genuinely cool dude. But despite him being a Cowboy and playing for the Broncos, the dude seems like a cool guy. But someone got his ring. I hope he gets his shit back. Either way, the Chargers beat him. It was unexpected. I wouldn't have called it. So I'm calling the Chargers to win, 20-14. I'm saying the Chargers have got their number right now, and they win this game. Because I want to say that the Chargers won in Denver last time around. So here's the game, right? The game I've been looking forward to. The game maybe you're looking forward to is the Eagles and Cowboys. 27-24 Eagles. I see this game having some scores. Now here's the matchup is here, right? So the Eagles defense against the Cowboys offense. And the Cowboys offense causes a lot of problems for a couple reasons. You have a young, smart quarterback in Dak, right, who has played pretty smart football up to this point. He's thrown one pick. He's been real careful with the ball. And he's tough to take down. He's a big dude. He's not necessarily like the swiftest. He's not he's not 2004 Michael Vick. But he's not slow. He's not like Manning brothers slow. So you got to account for him. You got the leading NFL rusher, Ezekiel Elliott, you got to account for. You got a really good offensive line that excels in run blocking. You have Alfred Morris. You have Cole Beasley, who causes nightmares in the slot, and they're trying to bring down Malcolm Jenkins to cover him. And I watched Cole Beasley take Malcolm Jenkins apart because Beasley was so shifty. So they got to figure something out for that. You got Dez Bryant returning on the outside, and he's a lot easier to deal with because you just put a true cornerback on him. And since we lost Ron Brooks to a ruptured quadriceps tendon, which just sounds horrible, and I'm pretty sure it is, but he's done, maybe forever. But our nickel corner is done, so we got to figure something out for Beasley. I would love to see a smaller, shiftier cornerback cover Beasley and maybe stick Jenkins out there and cover damn Dez, because really Jenkins is a little bigger and beefier, and Dez isn't the most agile dude. He's just kind of tall and kind of fast, so I think you can just stick Jenkins out there, but we'll see, right? So you got to account for all those things, right? But for the Cowboys, their defense isn't necessarily super strong, right? So if they can't generate pressure on Wentz early and they allow any kind of traction in the running game, the Eagles figure it out. The Eagles offense figures it out and outperforms the Cowboys offense. Now, like I said, the true matchup is going to be between the Cowboys offense and the Eagles defense. That's where the game is going to be played. If the Eagles defense plays the way they did against Pittsburgh and Minnesota, it's a done deal. But we're not talking about, we're talking about a Pittsburgh team that didn't have Le'Veon Bell. We're talking about a Minnesota team that doesn't have Adrian Peterson, right? We're talking about a Cowboys team that does have Ezekiel Elliott. You take care of Ezekiel Elliott. You force Dak Prescott to win the game, not to manage the game. You force him to win the game. You give yourself a chance. Eagles offense can't commit a bunch of turnovers. Has to play smart. Ryan Matthews can't be fumbling when it's time to grind the damn game down like he's done 2 out of the last 4 fucking weeks. I don't understand how this dude. Why isn't Kenjon Barner and Wendell Smallwood getting carries? Like they've got to be more secure. Like this guy he's fumbled on the outside and lost them in 2 games, and fortunately we're able to win last week because that game against Detroit that cost us the game. Despite all the penalties and bullshit, that fumble is what sealed that game and gave it to the Lions. That's so Matthews got to figure something out. Speaking of Smallwood, the Eagles have 2 kick returns for touchdowns in 2 weeks. The first one against the Skins by said name Smallwood, and then last week against the Vikings, Josh Huff returned 1 for 6, which was great. I mean, it's always nice when you special teams and your defense scores points, right? But here's something I've been hard on Josh Huff. Josh Huff is not a receiver, and if you watch him play, he's not. Josh Huff is a running back. They made play receiver at Oregon. His skill set is much more of a running back skill set. He doesn't go and catch balls over the shoulder. Darren Sproles has a much more complete receiver skill set than he does. But if you give him the ball on a handoff, on a pitch, on a little screen pass, Josh Huff makes you pay because he is big and strong enough to break tackles, from DBs and really get upfield. So, I like how Peterson is starting to leverage the use of Huff. Huff's not a true receiver. It may take him time to develop all the skill set to be a good true receiver, but the dude has some interesting skill sets that you can leverage. So, I'd like to see Doug Peterson leverage those things, and using him in the return game is one of those things. And it really wasn't all him. He just hit a seam and went straight. Look, the blockers did that for him last week, but he's going to have to do it again. Like, special teams could decide the game, but I'm going to say right now, like I say, Eagles defense, Cowboys offense, that's where the game's being played. The special teams can contribute. That just makes it more favorable for the Eagles, but I got the Eagles winning by 3 either way. So the Vikings play the Bears, and no one cares. The Vikings should beat the Bears because the Bears are terrible, and the Vikings are coming off a loss. I don't think the Bears are going to be able to replicate what the Eagles did to get to Sam Bradford, which you can do. But we'll see. Matt Asiata is not a bad running back. He does well in lieu of Adrian Peterson. I can see them leaning on him if they're getting to Bradford. So the beer of the week. All right. So last week, G had this Wilhelm Scream Pumpkin Ale, and I got it now because I'm still in the same sampler pack. I didn't do a lot of drinking while I was sick. If you could imagine, it's probably not really good for you to drink heavily when you're trying to recover from a goddamn cold like that. I hurt myself. I've got injured ribs here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to drink heavily in this state. But I got this Wilhelm Scream Pumpkin Ale. And hold on. It's not bad. It's pretty good. Is it watch the game good, right? That's the question. Is it a beer that I would drink while watching the game, and I'll tell you no. This is a, watch the sunset, maybe bonfire, chilling, relaxing with your folks beer. This isn't a watch the game. It sits on the palate too much. The pumpkin spice, whatever they put into it, the spices, they linger too long to really be a refreshing game beer. And so I'm going to say, if you're going to drink this, this is not for the game. This is for something a little more relaxed in a sporting event. Like a poetry reading or watching the sunset or just chilling and having a cigar. You don't have to say that any of those things are bad, but they're better suited for this beer than this beer is for the game. So, hot take of the week. This is important, right? Hot take of the week. The Browns are going to be dangerous in 2018-2019. They got a ton of draft picks leading up to then. They have a competent coach. G was right when saying that. And to be honest with you, they stand to leapfrog the Bengals and the Ravens, Ratbirds, old Browns with their talent infusion. If they go into the draft, if they get a personnel due and they go into the draft and they have remotely successful, drafts, if they avoid the Manziel picks, right? If they can get Cody Kessler and he's the guy, and build around him, the Browns could be dangerous going forward. Now, the question is, will they? That's always been the question, right? But they did a good job in trading away that pick and to the Eagles, and gathering up all those other draft picks. If they can get past them, tripping over their own dick, they can make some serious inroads to challenging Pittsburgh in that division. Now, there's someone sitting there who's probably let out a hearty belly laugh in the process of me going over this. But seriously, stop and look at this, right? The Bengals are a dysfunctional, undisciplined team of highly talented assholes who, save for A.J. Green, will continually shoot themselves in the foot, right? The Ravens are a bunch of old dudes who keep injuring themselves. Should be Steve Smith's last year. Flacco's not getting younger, and they really don't have a lot of young talent. And as G said, they have yet to replace Ray Rice as far as running backs are concerned. So I don't see them doing too much. That leaves just the Steelers, who for decades have drafted well, and the new Browns, who will just have a ton of picks and could do some damage. So if they play it right, they could be challenging Pittsburgh. Did I say they would beat Pittsburgh? No, I didn't say that. I said they would challenge Pittsburgh, meaning they stand a chance to maybe snatch a wild card, maybe actually take a game against Pittsburgh. I don't know. But they have to execute the draft. They have to develop their talent. They got to retain the talent. They got to pay some folks. There's some things they got to do, but they have the resources to do it. And that is my hot take of the week. So, as always, look, I'm on iTunes, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on SoundCloud, I'm on Mixcloud, and I'm on YouTube now. Dirt Diggler 2823. Right? Come and find me. And as usual, please send me your most passionate, finest hate mail. Please send me some correspondence. Send it to dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com. I'm really interested to know what you got to say. Even if you're like, hey, Dirty, hey, look, I know you in Maryland, I want to be on the show. And, if I know you, and, maybe we can do that. I'm always looking for somebody to have on the show because I like the opposing ideas, the different ideas, the conversation. I like that. It drives me, It's nice to have folks here. It was great to have G last week. It's great to have D from down south on the line. It's always nice to have a visitor. So, like I said, dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com. So, as always, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Dirt Diggler out.